Gambit opening played versus Magnus Carlsen in 2023 Norway Chess Blitz. I'm surprised to see Magnus returning the pawn in the No More King's Gambit, as it doesn't result in equal material exchange. Hikaru's expression in that moment indicates he is trying to recall something which contrasts with his usual demeanor when filming an open theory. In the 2021 World Championship match, Magnus faced off against Janne Bumenishi. Janne had recently released a comprehensive course on the King's Gambit, implying that Magnus might have studied it in preparation for the match. However, a surprising move is about to be played, as Hikaru makes previously unseen move that appears to be quite remarkable. I have encountered this position myself in games against the players like the Nigel Short. Now let's see what move Hikaru will make. I'm quite surprised that he has opted for this particular move. I have to agree with Judith that there are currently no opportunities for white. Additionally, there have been 2 games added to the database, so what do you think? On the other hand, Black currently has a much better situation because it's currently more advanced. A King's Gambit is present in Armageddon, which is pretty exciting. However, none of the white pieces have developed yet. I played it last time, in 2010 or something at some point. I saw playing a rapid event in Mexico and I played against Apollo and I won very convincingly. I couldn't believe it myself. It seems like Hikaru is made a clever exchange sacrifice or perhaps some other type of sacrifice. The move he played carries the essence of a sacrifice. In that game, Hikaru played a surprising move on f4. I remember watching it and being quite astonished. I'm not sure why I even considered the idea of playing the King's Gambit. Nevertheless, in the current position, it appears that the white is facing development difficulties. The knight is poised to jump to either e5 or d4, and it's impossible to prevent both moves. Once the knight arrives on e5 or d4, the bishop may also come into play. Black will likely be swift in castling queenside. It appears that the King's Gambit has backfired in this particular situation, which is unfortunate and explains why it doesn't make frequent appearances at the top level. However, the King's Gambit is still considered a great opening with its own unique charm. If your opponent gets intimidated by your moves, you shouldn't be scared. However, Magnus is not the type of player who gets intimidated easily. He might even smile at your move on f4. He is known for putting in the effort to surprise his opponent, and he is probably well prepared in the given position. It's still early in the game, but we've already witnessed 2 successful games in the Armageddon where the players embraced wild positions. And in those games, we witnessed players sacrificing material, acknowledging that Black simply doesn't have enough time to handle all the complications. Although let's be honest, it's still a great position for Black. I recall a game between Chakra and Aryan where Chakra willingly gave up a pawn for some initiative, but that's a different story. Also, we shouldn't forget the incredible escape trick that Magnus pulled on Wesley when he sacrificed an entire rook. However, those were already in the middle game. And now, Mama Yarrow seems determined to plunge into full complications. The problem for white here is the lack of sufficient time to develop properly. Considering the situation, it appears quite challenging for white. At first glance, the position seems rather miserable. Perhaps a move like knight c3 could be considered. Or, as in this case, Magnus went for a prophylactic move, queen f2, aiming to prevent potential threats from Black. The main challenge for Black is the abundance of enticing alternatives. As for my move, I am considering playing knight d5, aiming to eventually jump to g4. However, another idea is to develop the c8 bishop and potentially castle along that side. On the other hand, g3 could be part of white's plan, which might explain why Magnus played rook g8 instead of a different rook move. Yesterday, we witnessed a situation where the significance of placing a rook on an open file became more apparent. It adds a bit of a mystery to the story. Now, Hikaru is posing a threat by aiming to jump into the center with his white knight. However, Magnus Carlsen skillfully cuts off this possibility with his move, bishop b6. Both sides now have the urgency to castle for safety. It seems likely that bishop d2 will be played by white, followed by the white king seeking a secure position. Before it's too late, I want to acknowledge Hikaru's contribution and express my gratitude for the entertainment he had promised. Perhaps this is why he was smiling during the interview, as he knew he had a surprise up his sleeve for the Armageddon. It's true that it may have backfired so far, but it's still early in the game and anything can happen. On another note, maybe I was being unfair when I criticized White's position earlier. It's possible that it's not as bad as it appeared a couple of moves ago. However, the challenge lies in not seeing how White can actually improve their position. This becomes problematic when you are in a must-win situation. The reason I appreciate Magnus's previous move of the queen to d4 is that it serves a dual purpose. Not only does it push away the opponent's well-positioned queen on f2, which was acting as an attacker, but it also defends the g2 pawn. Consequently, a move like bishop to e2 is currently not feasible since the pawn on g2 is hanging. Now Hikaru makes a move by retreating the knight to e2, which is given a question mark to indicate its questionable nature. It seems possible to be selfish and take advantage of someone. I need to take a break before confronting h2 in the World Championship match. If he decides not to go for it, Magnus made a wiser decision. Hikaru is making a comeback by utilizing a pin on the f4 pawn, making it untouchable. Taking on g3 is not possible, or even if it is, it requires careful calculation. Magnus seems to be losing some control with his recent move, playing f5. The move to capture the pawn took courage instead of opting for a safer decision by the former world champion. Magnus has a history of struggling against Hikaru, and the pressure of time ticking down might make him nervous. In the meantime, Judith captures on e4, and the question arises, how will Hikaru recapture? Having observed their matches in the Title Tuesday tournament with a 1-second increment, I know that g3 was a surprise for Magnus. Initially, I considered bishop c3 after Hikaru's minor attack with the knight d2, but g3 was the plan. The move with tempo, aligning against the black king and attacking the black queen, seems unusual to accept. Perhaps black will retreat the queen or ask for a trade-off of bishop. Bishop h3 is a possibility, but it raises the question of what will happen to the knight g3. Magnus needs to have some answers ready because there are several ways to attack the black queen, and since Hikaru has slowed down, these may be crucial moments. Moves like f5 could be supported by calculations, but they require careful consideration. It's worth noting that Hikaru is spending these few seconds, possibly even more. Bishop h3 or knight g3. Knight g3 is played on the board, forcing the black queen to move, but it's unclear where she will relocate. However, there's a question mark over that move as it seems to be a mistake that allowed black to seize the initiative. It's important to highlight the queen e4 is no longer possible due to the winning bishop d5 move, which would lead to the exchange of pieces. Both players have under 3 minutes left, with Hikaru having a little over that. We witness a trade of the bishops with f5. The idea of targeting the a2 pawn that's been mentioned multiple times comes to mind. The black queen has just retreated, causing some excitement. With the combination of the black's queen and bishop, it appears quite dangerous. White must find a way to defend using the white queen and the white rooks, as something significant is about to unfold. Did you like it? Tell us what do you think of the video in the comment section below, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more interesting videos.